You ever buy a house thinking you're stepping right into a little slice of heaven, only to realize you've actually moved straight into a three-ring circus? That's how it started for me. Seriously, if I'd known my so-called dream home would become ground zero for the wildest, pettiest neighborhood feud in the history of cul-de-sacs, maybe I would have just stayed in my old apartment. But hey, hindsight's 2020. So, picture this. 8 months ago, my wife and I moved into this place-quiet street. Nice neighbors, or so I thought. Backyard that butts up against a bit of community green space. There's a little pond, some walking trails, the kind of spot that makes you think, yeah, this is it. I made it. And for a hot minute, I really believed I had. Now, full disclosure, I'm not exactly the guy itching for a fight. I work in IT, spend my free time in the dirt, coaxing tomatoes out of stubborn ground, trying to keep my Kentucky bluegrass greener than the other guys. I like peace, quiet, and not having to deal with anyone else's nonsense. My wife, she'll tell you I'd rather suffer in silence than have a single awkward conversation. She's not wrong. At first, it was just these tiny annoyances. You know how it is. You move in, you notice things, but you don't want to make a big deal. People cutting through the yard here and there, usually with that, oh, whoops, is this not a path? Look, I figured they were just lost, maybe sidestepping some construction, no harm done. I told myself it would pass. Except it didn't. If anything, it got worse. Every couple of days turned into every day, and then it was the same faces marching right through, using my backyard as a shortcut. No shame, either. And the ringleader? The HOA president herself. I kid you not. If you've ever met someone who acts like they own everything the sun touches, that's her. Let's call her Karen because, well, you know the type. She's mid-40s, drives a blindingly white SUV plastered with bumper stickers bragging about her kids' honor roll, and sports that let me speak to your manager haircut. She'd walk through with a wave, as if trespassing was just her way of being neighborly. Sometimes she'd bring a friend or two, chatting loud about HOA business while they stomped across my lawn. I started noticing the path they were making. Not just a hint of foot traffic, but a real dirt trail right through my grass I'd spent good money on and hours keeping alive. I tried the polite route first because that's who I am. Put up a few please keep off grass, signs nothing big, just those cheap ones from the hardware store. Thought maybe folks would take the hint. The signs lasted a week, then disappeared. Put up more, gone again. The third set got yanked right in front of me of Karen's crew laughing while they tossed my sign like it was trash. That's when it hit me. This wasn't some innocent mistake. They knew, and they just didn't care. Fast forward a couple months, and it's a full-on parade. People strolling across my backyard like it's a public sidewalk, leaving mud, crushed flowers, and a trail of aggravation behind. And all the while, Karen kept waving, kept acting like she was doing me a favor. The final straw came when I came home to find someone had built a rickety plywood bridge over a little drainage ditch right on my property. No one asked. They just did it, like I didn't exist. I lost it. I marched straight to Karen's door, asked if she knew anything about the bridge. Oh, that? We thought it'd be safer than having people jump the ditch. You should thank us. She actually said that. Then, with that fake smile dropping, she let me know real direct that she'd been living here for 8 years and wasn't about to let a little grass get in the way of community harmony. If I didn't want people cutting through, I shouldn't have bought the shortcut house. That night, I told my wife, expecting a little sympathy. She just looked at me like, "Are you serious?" and said, "We need to do something." So, I tried the official route, brought it up at the next HOA meeting, hoping maybe the other board members would listen to reason. Big mistake. Karen rolled her eyes, her neighbor Buddy cracked jokes about the shortcut house, and a couple folks actually laughed. When I tried to explain it was private property, Karen stood up, spun the story about community cooperation and helping families, and turned the room against me. She even called for a vote and made my backyard an official community path. They said anyone who blocked it would get fined for disrupting neighborhood harmony. I sat there, stunned, while they moved on to the next budget item. That was the moment I realized You can't reason with people who see your boundaries as suggestions. But here's the thing: I might avoid confrontation, but I'm not a pushover. The next morning, I called a surveyor. Told him I needed a full boundary survey. He said it'd cost $1,500, but at this point that felt like a bargain. While I waited for the survey, I dug into state law and HOA regulations. Spent hours reading statutes. Turns out, HOAs can't just declare easements on private land without written consent. Their little vote? Worthless in the eyes of the law. And that bridge? Clear trespass. Survey day came, and wouldn't you know it, Karen and her crew showed up, pretending they just happened to be out for a walk. I told them straight I am confirming what's mine. 3 days later, I got the results. Not only was the whole community path smack in the middle of my property, but part of Karen's own shed was over my line. The irony almost made me laugh. I didn't say a word, just called up the county, checked fencing permits, and lined up contractors. I chose a 6-foot black aluminum privacy fence, nothing cutesy, just a clear, serious boundary. Got all my permits in a row, waited for the neighborhood's annual block party, figured, why not make it a show? And had the crew start work mid-morning while everyone was distracted by burgers and lemonade. When the posts went in, the whispers started. Is that a fence? Is it on the path? By the time Karen came storming over, papers in hand, the fence was halfway up. She tried to shut me down, said I couldn't build without HOA approval. I handed her the permits, the survey, all the paperwork. She looked like she'd swallowed a lemon. That's when she saw the fence curve around her shed. "You can't fence off my shed," she yelled. "I'm not fencing off your shed, I'm fencing my property. If your shed happens to be on it, we've got a problem." For once, she didn't have a comeback. She just stood there, pale, all that bluster gone. After the fence went up complete with a shiny plaque reading, "Private property. Boundary verified. No trespassing." I watched as the shortcut crowd finally had to go around. There was talk of climbing the fence, but it's 6 feet of aluminum and nobody wanted that kind of drama. Karen tried to complain to the HOA, but every rule was followed, every box checked. She was out of moves. The best part? That shed on my land. I sent her a formal notice delivered by my lawyer, just so there was no confusion. 30 days to move it or lease the land at market rate. She called, all the haughtiness drained from her voice, asking how much it'd cost to move. $3,000, I said, or $200 a month to lease. In the end, she paid to move it, couldn't stand the thought of writing me a check every month. Word spread quick. Turns out, half the folks who used the shortcut never realized it was private property. When they found out the HOA tried to just vote away my backyard, the backlash started. Some younger neighbors even got together, filed a complaint with the state. In the end, the oversight board forced the HOA to reverse the vote, send out a notice to everyone about respecting property rights, and Karen lost her spot as president at the next election. These days, my backyard's quiet again. The grass is coming back, the flower beds are safe, and I don't have to look out my window and see Karen marching through like she owns the place. People now call my house the one with the fence instead of the shortcut house. New folks in the neighborhood get told the story as a cautionary tale about respecting boundaries. The funniest part? Karen never once apologized, never admitted she was wrong, never even made eye contact again. That's fine by me. I wasn't after an apology, I just wanted what was mine. Now I get to garden in peace. My wife can sit on the deck with a book and a glass of iced tea, not a care in the world. The fence blends into the landscape, and nobody gives it a second thought except maybe Karen every time she has to walk the long way around. So what did I learn from all this? That sometimes being polite isn't enough. If someone's determined to ignore your boundaries, you have to draw the line literally. Doing your homework, getting your paperwork right, and staying calm, that's how you win. I didn't shout, I didn't make threats. I just built a fence they couldn't ignore. In the end, it's not about being dramatic over a little grass, it's about standing up for yourself, even if your voice shakes. And hey, let me throw this out there, where's the line for you? When does community spirit cross into entitlement. Ever had a neighbor try to take a mile when you gave them an inch? Drop your wildest HOA story in the comments, or tell me my right to stand my ground. Or was there a better way? I want to hear your take, because if there's one thing this taught me, you can't build a community on shortcuts and stolen yards. But you can build a damn good fence.
Cảm ơn tất cả các bạn đã xem video.